And what's cracking, you guys? Welcome to the Mango Grove. How's everyone doing? Let's get a thumbs up on the audio. You can probably see me on your screen as well. I actually did like a whole audio test, but turns out I need to be on the screen for the audio to work. So, well, here I am. How's it going, Steve? Steve was the first one in here. How's it going, Ubby? We got Hen in here as well. Zinmi is in here as well. Okie dokes. Just catching up on today's Seed Clubhouse, and we have okay, yes. I don't know if you guys, for those of you who are in the Mango Seed program and you did not watch the Seed Clubhouse, watch it. I think that something is going on here. I think we're all going to be shocked. I think that this could be a turning point, and I think that I might actually have to buy back my freaking XRP. Jeez Louise. But yeah, let's get this party started. I don't want to get ahead of myself here because I have this tendency to get overexcited. So let's begin. I got everything just messed up right now on my screen, but I think we got it. Okie dokes. Let's go. Alrighty. Wow, I'm kind of very big on the screen right there. But yeah, how's it going, you guys? Can we just have a thumbs up on the audio check? Is the audio okay? There is no music playing in the background, just in case you guys were wondering. I will sing for you if you guys want music. But I feel like right now we all just got to be laser focused because there's something going on here. Today in the Seed Clubhouse, that was a really good session. Not a huge turnout at all. I was kind of surprised. But then again, a lot of you started piling on after the fact, so as in like much later into the session. So I definitely suggest, well, check out the recording, okay? Because I found a pretty insane system that could basically help us understand whether or not Bitcoin actually sees a rally from here, this very moment. And we all know what happens. If Bitcoin sees a rally, we're likely going to see the altcoins also pick up steam. So that includes your XRP, your Cardanos, your XLM. Fred Ross says, please sing. You know what, Fred? As soon as Bitcoin gets back up, I'll keep it simple. I'll keep it very simple. As soon as Bitcoin gets back up to its highs right here, 125K, I'll come out here and sing for you guys. How about that? Okie doke. So let's actually get right into, well, yeah, me zoomed out and me. I'm going to make myself smaller and what's important bigger. Of course, that is the chart. That it's weird. What is wrong with the comments? It's like, okay, let me see what I can do here. I'm actually going to do a switch. Nope, that's not it, Krisha. You got the wrong thing. Okay, there we go. Better. We'll have to deal with this because it was just covering the chat. And I want you guys to be able to see the chat. There we go. Okay, so first off, how's everyone doing? Buy back XRP. You Bradshaw saying, but what? Lock in, but this is a long term. Yeah. So the thing is that with XRP, I'm literally just following the system. I have been following the same system since, well, day one. I've been very, very candid with you guys. I cannot possibly come out here and be like, oh, guys, listen, I've been following the system for 1 year, but the one time I ought to be following it, I'm just going to be like, nope, no more system. I'm out. Right? There's no way I can really quantify any of my systems, any of my gains. At that point, I might as well just be there with the blindfold on and just shooting darts. TNG says, hey, Krisha, any recent update on ADA, please? Yes, we are going to be going over ADA. So this is how we're going to be breaking this down. Bitcoin first, because I think there's something very special going on the Bitcoin chart. I have a certain level I'm looking for Bitcoin to clear out for me to then anticipate the next move. I don't think this is going to be an ordinary move, guys. I think this is going to be a reversal move. I know it's a bold statement. But hear me out here. The thing is that if I take you guys on over to the monthly time frame, okay, I want to sort of start being snappy with the analysis today. We get on over to the monthly time frame. There's something going on here. We are around 8 days away from the month end. Okay, so 8 days for this month to close. 8 days for 8 days for Bitcoin to save itself. Okay, what are we looking for over here on the monthly time frame? Right now, if I'm being completely honest, I think the monthly, not I think, we're looking at a certain system here, right? Bitcoin relative to its cyclical systems, the number one, of course, is the monthly 10 simple moving average, right? Which is the white line on my chart. I'm just going to hide the dynamic for now. For as long as Bitcoin lives over the monthly 10 simple moving average, I'm saying bull run is still on. To jump the gun and call bear market, to jump the gun and call any target lower than the monthly 10 SMA is just, it's too soon. It's too soon. All right. You always want to act on the confirmation as opposed to acting ahead of time, only to be wrong on your entire thesis. Right. Wait for the confirmations to really, to take the next big move on your portfolio. So right now, monthly 10 still holding, looking intact. The other one that we were looking at was the biweekly dynamic support. Right. And that was this. This is it right here. Now, one thing I noticed, and this is something that I brought to everyone's attention in today's clubhouse session, was that $100,000, and I know that quite a few of you have confluence on your systems with $100,000, right? Biweekly dynamic coming in at 101K. Monthly 10 SMA also, by the way, lining up with $101,000. You can see it's literally the same line. And also the other system that I was talking to you guys about was none other than the Bollinger Band and MACD system. Now, these are the three systems all pointing down to $100,000. Okay. Now, Bollinger Band, MACD system, I mean, it worked out like a charm. What we're looking for over here, of course, was for price to close underneath the midpoint, which it did, and also for your MACD to be crossed bearish, which is the indicator at the bottom of my screen, right? Now, we got the duo effect on this system, right? We got both the indicators going off at once. And the play is this: as soon as we get the signal, we can then look for the test of the bottom, the test all the way down to the bottom of the Bollinger Band, right? Now, here's the thing. What is the Bollinger Band, right? You got the monthly, you got the 10 simple moving average as your mid, okay? And what you're looking at over here, as far as the band is concerned, are standard deviations, right? Standard deviation away from the midpoint, okay? Now, if it's super duper volatile, that's when you can expect the band to be like expanded. All right. If the volatility is super dried out, there's very, very little volatility. That's when we see the squeeze in the band. I know people often like looking at it as oversold and overbought. I don't look at it as that. I'm looking at, basically momentum, volatility. And what I've noticed over here is is that based on price action, because these are standard deviations, because this is a moving average, what's happened here, if you noticed on the slope of the Bollinger, the bottom band, we have a slope up, right? Telling us that, okay, the averages have changed, the averages have moved. This is now beginning to slope up. In fact, the bottom of the Bollinger Band now currently comes in at $102,000. And I was telling people this. I'm like, you know what? As soon as we get more price action, in hindsight, you're going to look at this price action, right? You're going to look at this entire juncture right here. And you're like, no, we got the test. Think about it. That's how we're all going to perceive this. When you look back at this and you see a break in the midpoint, and if I had to ask you, did we get the test at the bottom or not? You're going to be like, no, we got the test, right? So when the averages start moving up, right, that's when you can look for those. It's sort of, it front ran, right? It front ran the region of support. Right. So right now I'm looking at this as a potential front run of that region of support. Now I know I'm sounding a little too overly bullish. Okay, so I got to temper myself. So what I'm going to be giving you over here is I am getting a tad bit bullish. Like I said, I explained the system that I found in the Seed Mastermind call today. So go ahead and check it out for those of you in the Seed program. But what I will give the rest of you guys is a level. Okay, I'm looking for Bitcoin to clear out the specific level on the lower time frames. I'm talking about the 4-hour time frame and the 12-hour time frame for me to then understand if we actually see that rally, if this is actually going to be a reversal or not. And it's very important that we get the reversal this time around. We're getting to the month of November. We're end cycle. All right. If we have to see a resurrection here, if we have to see these trends continue, if we have to see the trend continue into December, I want to see the month of November open very, very well. All right. And the month of November opening, say even over the midpoint right here at $114,000, I'm going to consider that a win. All right. But the question is, when do we anticipate that? Right. So this is what I'm going to be looking at. get into the daily time frame, not the 12-hour, the daily time frame. I'm going to clear out everything else. I'm looking for this. All right, there's a few things playing out here, but here's what I want to see, guys. Not only do I want to see the midpoint of the Bollinger Band getting cleared out, which comes in at around $113,000, but I also want to see price clear out this entire zone right here. All right, so essentially what I'm looking at to basically plot it out for you are these lows right here and these lows right here. If I start seeing more candle closes over, so I'm talking about 4-hour candles, let's go on over to the 4-hour time frame, and what do you know? 4-hour currently holding it as support, right? 4-hour candle closes, 12-hour candle closes. I'm saying game on, bulls. We're heading back up to 113, 114K. Now, depending on what price does on this juncture is going to be very important. This entire next week is going to be very important, not just for Bitcoins, but also for the altcoins, because you need to understand the correlation, right? There is a baseline correlation between everything in the crypto market, right? That baseline correlation is always going to be hinged on Bitcoin. Bitcoin rallies, you can expect your altcoins to even get a resurrection, all right? 113, 114K is going to be super duper duper important. Yes, I'm sure some of you guys have already noticed. All right, let me take you on over to maybe some of the higher time frames. There's a bit of a minor double bottom formation right here, right? All well and good. Okay, this is it. Oops. 1, 2, right? Breaking 113K activates the formation, right? But here's the next statement. If we break $113,000, 113, 114, catch the range. We break that. I'm saying the next move to the upside is going to be, it's going to be a volatile one. I'm looking for, it's going to be almost like a magnet of sorts, right? I'm looking at the volatility that kicked in through this entire range right here. And there's also, as Wolvie plotted out today, there's also a bit of an FEG right here, right? But I think that this is going to be the next volatile range from 114, actually 116 all the way up to 120K is that volatile window, right? Wherein if price taps that window, I think it's just going to be a magnet up to 120, 125K, right? So that's going to that's going to be the play. And consider this, like, and this is something I said in the Discord chat, right? I'm like, right now it's too convenient to be bearish. Literally everyone's bearish. If I had to take you guys on over to crypto fear and greed, I mean, we're still sitting at fear. Okay, we're sitting at 28. The last 3 times crypto fear and greed was at fear. What did the market do? The market rallied, guys, on every single instance of fear. Okay, that marked the bottom of that pullback. And right now we have no new information that hasn't already been priced in. Just gonna go over the chat. The dawn of a new era says XRP about to skyrocket next 2 to 3 months. I'm telling you, man, if Bitcoin actually recovers from here, that is a possibility, yes. Satoshi says no one will see what? No one is going to expect a reversal right here, right now. No one is going to see that coming. No one's going to expect a reversal in the next 1 week. My time horizon on all of this playing out is 7 to 8 days. I know it's not right for me to call time horizons here, but I want to see the month of November open well. And I think the month of November opens well as soon as we can actually open above $113,000, $114,000. I'll look at that as a positive sign for the bulls. Not just the bulls, even for the altcoins. Steve XRP says, I think so, Steve. Honestly, I think max pain is going to be to the upside. I feel like people are very, very prepared for the downside right now. You know, everyone's got their bids. Everyone's expecting more downside. It's just easy. Like I said, it just seems too easy to be bearish right now. And just to show you something, I'm going to get on over to the monthly time frame for this actually. Crypto Fear and Greed once again, August 2023, summer of 2024, and earlier this year, 2025, right? August 2023, summer 2024, earlier this year, Feb to April 2025. And now, once again, we're back down at fear. And I want you guys to also think about one more important point. Price is currently at $109,000. We're living over $100,000 per BTC. And this is the state of the market. Freaking fear. I don't know what's more bullish. Fear is the state of the market when price is currently above $100,000. How's it going, Santiago? But yeah, I say next 1 week is going to be the decision point. It's going to be the massive decision point. And depending on what price does relative to, well, 113K, that's going to be key in determining what happens getting into the month of November. And this is looking good. I think that we rally to 113, 114K in the next, I think by the weekend. Now, 113, 114 is resistance, so we could see a minor rejection there. But I think this is the next likely play, 113K per BTC, and that's what we're seeing. Look at the sidebar right now, right? Everything is green. In fact, if we get on over to the lower time frames on the dashboard, there we go. We have trend flips. So this is beginning to see a Joel Cruz is cautiously optimistic. I'm glad that you think so, because I feel like I'm being overly optimistic right now. I have to like temper my my feelings. I got to temper my excitement based on the system that I found. But I honestly feel like no one's going to expect a reversal right here. Like, what do you guys think? Do you guys think that people are looking for a reversal right here? I feel like this has gotten, like, the most recent dump, the liquidation event, and even this pullback that we saw after the liquidation event has people feeling very demotivated. I was looking at my comment section, especially with the XRP and even Bitcoin, right? Like, people are just, they're like, I'm leaving crypto. That's the number one thing that's on people's lips right now. I am leaving crypto. I'm done with crypto. People don't want to hear about it. And the big surprise is going to be that as soon as people start getting out is when you see that next rally. And speaking of the altcoins, right? I'm sure you guys know that I've been looking at TOTAL2, which is total crypto market cap excluding Bitcoin, to help me gauge whether or not, hey, is it altcoin season or not? And it was a very simple sort of system. I was looking for Bitcoin dominance to be in a downtrend. Let's actually go ahead and look at that very quickly. BTCD. Let's get into the monthly. I'm going to switch on dynamic. No, it's the weekly. Yeah, weekly dynamic. But nice to see that the monthly is holding support, eh? But yeah, weekly dynamic. So this is still red, okay? We are still in a downtrend. Now, depending on whether or not we get rejected here, it might be in favor of the alts, okay? Why am I using the word might? Once again, next 8 days is going to be critical. Okay, it's going to be very important, guys. Bitcoin dominance getting rejected off of that weekly dynamic, and TOTAL2. Okay, notice what TOTAL2 is doing, by the way. I know people have been super bearish on alts, and hell, even I got forced out of my position, right? I sold 25% of my XRP, so if there's anything I got to get back, it's going to be only, of course, I'm going to go over XRP in a bit. I don't want to jump the gun. But I'll be buying back my XRP position as soon as the system triggers once again. But as soon as Bitcoin dominance closes the week underneath, basically gets rejected off the weekly dynamic, and let's go back to, man, I'm losing my charts. And TOTAL2, okay, TOTAL2 closes over that key point of support at 1.51 trillion. Okay, that's the market cap we're looking for TOTAL2 to close over. Hold it as support. I'm saying the alts are actually going to end up picking up more steam than Bitcoin. Okay, and that's, I think, going to be a shocker. That's what people are not going to expect. Right? Because the altcoins literally got hammered once again, even on the most liquidation event. You think that, considering that the altcoins barely performed, you're like, where was the freaking leverage? How was so much leverage? How did so much leverage build up on the altcoins? Right? But that really hammered sentiment once again. So I feel like this is going to be that it's going to tap into most pain. Right, Steve, you were talking about basically what's the direction of most pain. I think the altcoins running now, getting into December, I feel like if the markets run, first of all, that's anyways going to be most pain. But I feel like the altcoins running is going to be max pain because people got kicked out of the alts. Right. But once again, I'm following the system. Okay, so we don't have confirmation on this just yet. But in the next 8 days, getting to the month of November, I think it'd be a very, very strong sign if we can close TOTAL2 over this key region of support. And Bitcoin dominance hold this as resistance, basically the weekly dynamic as resistance. Michael Merrifield says, I think dump before pump. A lot of people are actually looking for that right now, which is why, I'm thinking that this could very well end up being a front run. $110,000. Santiago says, heard this I'm leaving crypto comment just yesterday. Exactly. A lot of people are just like, I'm done. They're literally throwing in the towel now. So imagine throwing in the towel. You're like, screw it, I'm done. And then 1 week later, it all rips. What happens? Like, what's the mindset at that point? You're still fresh out of the market, which means there's a part of you that will likely still look at the market. Those who are fresh out of the market, basically, they threw in the towel and they're just like, I'm so done with this. Come next week, come 2 weeks from now, they see the markets rip. They're going to be watching that. They've divested, but they're not disinterested. There's a difference. Okay, the people who got out, and if in the month of November the markets rally, what do they end up being? They end up being liquidity for the chase. So there's a lot that happens here. There's a huge domino that goes off. Kevin Paulson says, we've been listening to It Could Rip for a year now. I'm not saying that this market was easy. It was not easy, right? But if you're looking at XRP, you're looking at Bitcoin. First of all, XRP, I think, held up extremely well relative to most altcoins. I will still stand by that statement. Bitcoin, on the other hand, come on. Bitcoin is at $100,000. That was my point. Right? Bitcoin is at $100,000, and this is sentiment. Sentiment is at freaking rock bottom. 28 at fear. Bitcoin is sitting at $108,000. Like, you couldn't ask for anything more bullish at this point. Mark Brown says FOMO fuel. Exactly. People who threw in the towel, people who have divested very recently, thinking that I'm done with this shit, right? Apologies for my French, forgive my French. But if they've thrown in the towel, they've divested, it does not mean that they're disinterested. If the markets start rallying, getting into November, getting into December, these guys are going to end up being FOMO fuel. I love that word. Messy Leo says 99K then moon. Like I said, a lot of people are looking for a dip first and then the next impulsive move. I feel like not a lot of people are looking for the next impulsive move to come in right here. A lot of people are prepared for the impulsive move. I'm not saying don't follow your systems though, okay, guys? This is a idea that I have based on the system that I recently found, okay? Now, I could once again be wrong. You could be right. Okay, we could very well see a dip into 100K and then rally. We could see a dip to 100K and everything breaks, right? I want to tell you guys to follow your systems ultimately. I'm going to tell you what I have found so far, what I personally am going to be looking out for, right? We can, of course, have a conversation on this. But right now, the blue box is what I'm looking at. We start closing candles. I'm looking for 12-hour candle closes, 4-hour candle closes over $109,000. My next move, the next sort of move I'm looking for Bitcoin to make is all the way up to 113, 114K. Clearing 113, 114K sends Bitcoin into a volatile zone. That volatile zone could be a magnet where it just gets pulled up to 120. So we also have, by the way, oh no, where is my screen? Okay, you can't see that. Thanks to Wolvie, Mock, I think one of you guys mentioned that CPI drops tomorrow. CPI drops tomorrow, right? What are the catalysts? Like someone was talking about catalysts today. I'm saying price can basically mark out the catalyst for you before the catalysts even hit the streets, right? Now, CPI is often something that people look towards, the market looks towards, they wait in anticipation to then figure out their next best moves. Right now, the forecast for CPI comes in at around 3.1K. So far, the trend appears to be, well, it's an uptrend so far. So people are looking for CPI to come in hotter than the forecasts. I think the surprise is going to be if CPI comes in lower than the forecasts. Like that will add more fuel to the rally. There's a lot of fuel. Now, of course, we don't have to wait too long on this, 24 hours less, in fact, to get the CPI read. But I feel like the charts are hinting at something. For me, I say short-term rally, watch for 114K. We break 114K, bulls in control. Here is one for you guys who think that Bitcoin could see a pullback. The dashboard agrees with you. The dashboard is saying that, hey, short on the 12-hour time frame, so bears in control on the 12-hour time frame, but volatility very healthy. So they could swing in right here. We can get into the altcoins now. XRP first, given that TOTAL2 looks pretty, it looks pretty good right now. Okay, I like the pickup on TOTAL2. I also like the look of Bitcoin dominance holding its downtrend, right? So if we actually get that dual effect going into the month of November, I'm saying, hey, the altcoins could very well actually start seeing good, they could start seeing some decent rallies. Okay, so let's go on over to XRP. I want to start off with the dashboard. Dashboard XRP. You see what I mean? We got like a reset of sorts here. Man, I'm so bummed. You know, this is the second time I've gotten invalidated. I'm still invalidated, of course. So I still have to wait. But we'll see. 4-hour short, still short. 12-hour, daily, 2-day, all flipped from short to neutral. We got a reset. It's telling me that XRP is up to something. Damn it. It's okay. It's a part of the trade, right? Part of the trade. Okay, so golden level. I gave you guys the golden level on the previous daily update. Golden level is $2.48. Where am I getting this from? I, of course, am getting this from the monthly time frame. Okay, so monthly time frame, specifically the monthly 10 simple moving average. All right, for as long as XRP holds monthly 10, I'm saying this is actually going to be looking really, really good getting to the month of November. So that does not change. $2.48 is where I want to start seeing candles close. As soon as, and look at how close we are, right? And what's cool is that actually lines up with the daily dynamic resistance as well, right? So we start seeing closes over. Now you need to understand there's a cascading effect. We start seeing closes over. Okay, only then do things really start getting bullish, because this not only reclaims a key region of resistance, we also activate a very, very clear pattern. Left, head, right. Measured move, $3. But now here is why you do not jump the gun. Here's why you do not jump the gun. And once again, I will not be making any call on XRP until my system has sort of revalidated itself. Because if you jump the gun on this, okay, before getting the confirmation, wait on the confirmation. Of course, you get confirmation on this as soon as we start clearing out daily dynamic resistance to the upside. But before we do that, now this is one scenario, right? Scenario one playing out. Second scenario could very well just be a rejection on that daily dynamic resistance, and we could fall further. At that point, what do we really activate? You see why I don't jump the gun? So wait on the clearance of the daily dynamic resistance. That's going to be the official signal for XRP. Daily dynamic resistance, for those of you who want the levels on here, comes in from around 2,056 cents going down to 245. What do you guys think XRP is going to do here? Do we see a rally, or do we see continuation to the downside? Do we see a dump? So orange is going to be scenario one. And yellow scenario two. Honestly, I think that if Bitcoin sees a pick me up here, I think if Bitcoin starts rallying past 114, scenario one plays out. That orange squiggly plays out. Avi says orange. Vince says short term up. I like playing this game. I like drawing like different scenarios and like which one plays out. Man, I was wrong on the last one as well. Steve XRP says, I'm hoping scenario two then pump. Why, Steve? I mean, and that's fine. That's fine. I guess as a part, it's so weird. There's a part of me that wants it to dump. I feel like that's primarily because I sold 25% of my position, right? That's why I want it, but that's so irrational of me. You know why, right? Because I still have 75% in, right? But just to be right for that one sell, I'm like, yes, screw the 75. I hope my 25 is right. But no, here's what I'm looking at. You're right. I mean, it could still dump. Could we still be safe? We have the bi-weekly dynamic still sitting in. Now, this is what Sean said, right? And now it appears that he's going to end up being right. Sean on the previous live stream told me that, hey, Krisha, you are wrong to be looking at the weekly dynamic support. The level that you ought to be, the time frame you ought to be looking at is the bi-weekly time frame, because as you can see, there have been 0 violations of the dynamic on the bi-weekly. 0, not one, not once. Okay, look at this. It's been very, very, very clean. So he said the level that you guys ought to be looking at is the bi-weekly dynamic. And here's the thing, Steve. Prices could come down, right? We could get a very, very similar wick as we did right here. This was the liquidation event. But let's just say we get a very similar wick as we did right here in March of 2025, right? It comes all the way down to, say, $1.92, only for price to then close over 233. So what happens? We get a similar wick all the way down, but for the candle body to close over the bi-weekly dynamic, and it would still look a-okay. My honest opinion on this entire market right now, we're too deep into the cycle. We're too deep into the cycle, guys. We've been running since Jan 2023. It's been 2 years, right? And I showed you this, I don't want to call it a system, but it's more like a fractal. You're looking towards the previous cycles and when the market topped off relative to the Bitcoin halving. And there is quite a bit of symmetry here. Okay, halving 2012 from the halving to the market top, that was 378 days. Halving of 2016 from the halving to the market top, that was 518 days. Fast forward to the halving of 2020 to the market top, that too was 518 days. Now fast forward to this halving of 2024. We are 1 month short of 518 days, which is why weakness here would be concerning if you are able. I want to start, and it's been far too long. Consider that we've been consolidating from, let's go ahead and check that out, right? I'd consider this entire range of freaking consolidation, quite honestly. But let's even be modest, okay? Start from July. So July, August, September, October, 4 months now, just in this range. Like this is 20% for Bitcoin from May to November. 20% for the world's most bullish asset. I agree, Mark. Mark says not much time left in the cycle. We need to pump by end of year or it feels over. Also, I want to start seeing some strength here because even on as far as price within the range, it's been a very long time. Like if we're being fair, then okay, fine, you can take it from July. But come on, if we're taking it from even May, right? That's a long time. Within a 20% range. I'm looking at this as an entire range of consolidation. I'm looking at this as sideways action. We barely got one pump. You were either in or you were not when the pumps happened. That happened within, what, a week? So yeah, any questions on XRP before we move on to ADA? It's been a while since I last covered ADA. I feel like I'm neglecting you guys. But yeah, golden level 248, look for clearance over 248 lining up with the daily dynamic. Clearing out 248 sets off a cascade. This is the range, actually. Look for 248 all the way up to 255. That's your range. Note it down. Take notes. 255 sets off a inverted head and shoulders pattern. At which point you're looking for a target going all the way up to $3, I believe. What was that? Let's do that again. Yeah, $3. Take a look at last year. XRP was going up within 2 months. I know, like last year, and look at that's the thing, right? You're gonna look at this cycle in hindsight and you're like, oh, that was such an easy cycle. No, it was not. It was not an easy cycle because it was the consolidations that just killed people. It just killed the vibe. It killed the mood of the market. It lulled people into complacency, right? And then suddenly you get this volatile move. You'd think that the volatile move after waiting for so many months would be a volatile move to the upside, but instead you get one to the downside. That just crushes spirit. And I feel like that's what's been happening with this market, right? You wait for so long thinking that, okay, I've waited. I'm sure the next move is going to be a nice big impulsive green candle to the upside, but instead all of your waiting was rewarded with just losses. That has a way to crush spirit right now. Anything that the Fed is supposed to do has been priced in. Anything that they're supposed to do. All of those forecasts that you see as far as rate cuts are concerned, that's all been priced in. Something different is going to have to set off a catalyst here. What I really liked, though, in the recent FOMC meeting was the suggestion of ending QT. I think that's going to be important, because this is a point that I made. It doesn't matter rate cuts. Okay, it's a point I also made in today's clubhouse. The rate cuts don't matter. When the Fed cuts rates, does that mean that people are able to get their capital cheaper or more freely than they once were? No. Who controls that? It's the banks. If the banks get to decide. If the banks are not feeling too generous with their loans, it doesn't matter. That velocity is not going to increase. That velocity of money, the rate at which money is distributed and sort of flows in the economy, that does not go up. The banks matter. Okay, if the banks are not feeling too good, they're not feeling too generous, global liquidity is going up right now. In fact, global liquidity is broken out. Global liquidity breaking out, though, it's lagging. Price lags global liquidity, of course. It's going to take some time for liquidity to be felt by the market, right? So there's a bit of a window before all of that is felt. But yeah, I think what the trajectory in which the Fed is heading is good for the markets, supposed to be good for the markets. I like the fact that, hey, QT is, they're looking to end QT. The last time, by the way, just to give you a historic data point, I think some of you guys might find this interesting, but it was back here in the Jan of 2019 where price was sitting at $3,000, right? That was that bear market. And in one meeting, I kid you not, one FOMC meeting, they came out, they ended QT, and they dropped rates. Think of how powerful of a meeting that was. And that which then culminated in this freaking rally. This was just Bitcoin, right? But this was across the board. Culminated in a crazy rally from freaking 3K all the way up to 14, 15K. So QT ending would be nice. Rates going down, but also the banks actually following through with the whole lending. That would be better. That's what increases liquidity ultimately. That's how people feel rich. That's how people end up going out the risk curve. Right now, you need to understand, for the past years now, people have been getting better rates, risk-free rates, by just not taking on any risk. They are not incentivized to go out the risk curve to look for a bit of yield that they don't even know they're going to get. Right? If you can just have your money sitting in sort of fixed income and yielding you 5 to 6%, why not? Why would you take that and put it into a freaking altcoin? Like, screw that. That willingness is not there. That motivation is not there. Right? So we're waiting for all of those ingredients to sort of hit the markets for that to then translate onto the charts. Bitcoin, and this is one thing that Sean mentioned, right, previously, that this entire cycle, I think we can all agree that Bitcoin has climbed a wall of worry. It's all been one big wall of worry that this entire market has climbed, and we're here today at $100,000, and this is the state of sentiment. Fear. Gee, will occurs. I mean, you joined in late. I literally just ended an entire XRP analysis. Here's a quick recap. At least ask. XRP daily this is the entire zone. If we can clear out the zone to the upside, I'm saying bull see a resurrection. Top of the zone comes in at 255. Okay, there's a cascading effect because this then sets off a beautiful inverted head and shoulders pattern, the target to which comes in at around $3. Don't jump the gun on this. Don't jump the gun on this. Because right now, if we get rejected here, there are two scenarios. They were looking for either a rally. Okay, so where's my tool? There we go. Breakout, potential retest, rally to 3. Okay, scenario 1. Scenario 2, we get rejected here. This is a key point of resistance. And we come down. All right. What could be the driver for that? I mean, this could also be looked at as a bear flag upon rejection. right? So these are the two potential scenarios. Do not jump the gun. Please wait on your confirmations. Speaking of James. Speaking of James. No, James mentioned something about gold. This is going to be an important chart. Look for Bitcoin against gold to close over the monthly dynamic. There's too much happening in the next 8 days, guys. You're either here or you are asleep. And depending on, and it's either going to make you or it's going to cost you. So just be careful. Next 8 days leading into November 1st is going to be a very, very, very important decision point for the markets. I cannot stress that enough. Look for Bitcoin against gold to actually close over the dynamic support. This is going to be a very important chart because this is one thing that Sean noticed. Every break of the trend over here, every single break, we've had 3 breaks prior to this one. One, which was previous bull market. Next one was COVID. The one before that was the 2018 bear market. On every single instance of this trend breaking, that has led to a bear market for Bitcoin. In fact, this one right here in 2018 called the dump from 6K to 3K. That was the break. So I'm saying don't fade this signal right here. So just keep your eyes on that. Okay, let's quickly go over ADA. 47. Bears seem exhausted here. Got shorts, 12-hour daily flip from short to neutral. The 2 shorts, 4-hour and 2-day, look at the volatility. Both look very exhaustive right now. So let's get on over to that. Man, ADA, I'm so sorry, guys. I mean, it just sucks. I think ADA has had like the toughest time this bull run. They've really had a really tough time this bull run. Okay, monthly. Ideally monthly, so getting into November 1st, you want to see it close. Honestly, if it can close in 265 cents, decent. If it can close at 72, over 72, that's going to be very, very good. Okay, so I say ADA folks, look for that. This, it's a tough spot here, right? Because closing under, honestly, I see another tap of 50 cents. Yeah. Resistance on the daily. We start, okay, let me just make this clear. We start taking out this low right here, we could start seeing another meltdown. At which point, oops, 50 cents is the next target. Okay, now this is one scenario. This is given that we break. Second scenario, of course, we clear out the blue box. Could start seeing a rally. Blue box is the monthly level. I say right now, guys, look towards your monthlies. We're too close. We're too close to the monthly close. So that's going to give you a tip off as to what the bulls on that particular asset are going to try and reclaim. It's also going to help you, and you'll be surprised as to how many times you set out, you basically draw out a macro level and how well it gets respected on lower time frames as well. But this is essentially going to give you the tip as to how hard the bulls are fighting and whether or not they're winning. The win is important, right? Supply, demand. If the demand overpowers the supply on that particular region, you have your winner right there. Sorry, this is the wrong number that I have here, but this comes in from around 65 cents going up to 70. Let me just change that. Godzilla says, Snappy today, what's going on? I think that we're likely in... Bulls are picking up steam. It's snappy, yes. But wait, once again, Bitcoin, for those of you who missed the Bitcoin analysis, 109K. 114 is going to be your major tell. We clear out $114,000. I'm saying Bulls got the edge again. Yes, let's do Chainlink. I'll cover Aster in the next update. I know that chart has been looking very good. I haven't looked at it recently. I'm not in Aster, but I know a couple of people who are in Aster. I think so, Hen. I feel like that's gonna be that's where people are gonna be caught off. I honestly think that there are a lot of people. So Hen, by the way, says, I agree with you, Krisha. We can be in for a bit of a surprise with Bitcoin on the long side, but of course we have to manage our risk just in case we are wrong. Exactly. It's very important that you manage your risk. Now, I can give you guys my input as to what I'm seeing unfold on the chart. Ultimately, you guys have your systems. You guys have a different type of trade that you're looking at. But that doesn't mean that just because I'm giving you a certain system that I found or a certain thesis that I found, it doesn't give you an excuse to just ignore your invalidations. Your invalidations are your invalidations. So follow the rules of that, okay? As traders, we always have, when we take a trade, we always have that manager self. Before we get into a trade, we're a lot more unbiased about the chart that we're looking at. We look at it through a whole different lens. But then as soon as we get into a trade now suddenly you've turned from manager to executor, okay? And now you're like this trader. You need to be able to separate your manager self and the person executing the trade. Very, very, very important, because the manager self is always the one who does not have as much biases as the person executing. All right, so set in the manager self, write down notes on the position that you're looking to take. And if your invalidations have hit on whatever position that your manager self set in, don't fade those invalidations. Because oftentimes I realized when I started trading, when I faded my invalidations and price actually ended up dropping even further, but I was there in position because I didn't freaking heed to my invalidations. I'm like, what did I do? What the hell did I do? I ended up losing so much more because I let the emotional trader in me take over. The manager self is a lot more unbiased. So just, if you gotta take an L, okay, and get out of position because you've been invalidated, do it. You can always get back in, right? But what happens when you end off badly, right, is that when the time comes to get back into position, you're not able to do that because you're already sitting deep in freaking losses. You don't have the mental or the emotional equity anymore to deal with it, right? So don't do that, because the way you exit your trade is going to help you take on the next trade and the next one and the next one and the next one. So start helping yourself with basically your executions and your invalidations. How you end your trades is very important. I would argue that it's even more important than how you begin your trades. The end is very, very, very important, guys, whether you're taking a win or you're taking a loss. So link right here, shorts on the 4-hour, 2-day, 4-day weekly. Once again, 2-day, so basically the time frames when we do have the shorts, 2-day and 4-hour look exhaustive, okay, which means the bears might be getting into a zone of exhaustion. They've taken this down so much now they're running out of freaking ammo. All right, so let's get into the chart. So let's see if they are truly running out of ammo. What happened? The monthly looks good. Okay, I'll say this. The monthly looks really good. I like the monthly. Okay, so here's the thing with Link. You want it to hold this level. All right, 1631 up to 1724, which it is holding, and which, by the way, has also been a key region of support turn resistance back into support. You can see it right here. All right, I'm just going to get rid of everything else. There we go. Right, this entire zone right here, every tap, every reclaim led to the next impulsive move for a chain link. But here's the thing. So it's right now Link is stuck in between a rock and a hard place. So we got support coming in right there, and this right here is resistance at 1936. We can, if we start clearing out 1936, game on. But if you're playing the higher time frames, okay, let me rephrase that. If you're playing a trend trade, and given that we're so close to the monthly open, the monthly close, monthly open, 7 days out, this could be a better buy the dip opportunity than a sell opportunity. You're sitting smack on monthly support. So managing the trade will be very easy. If you want to be extra cautious, of course, then just wait for a price to reclaim dynamic resistance to the top, 1926. But I like this. It's a good chart. Link is actually looking really good. So reclaiming dynamic resistance flips this entire picture, at which point we could see a rally all the way back up to $27. But yeah, rock and a hard place. I think this is more of a buy the dip opportunity than a sell opportunity, because it's going to be very, very easy to manage the bid, to manage the trade. Okay, so we covered Bitcoin, we covered XRP, we covered TOTAL2, we covered Cardano, we covered Chainlink. I'll take, what's the time? Oh man, I'm at time, guys. I'm sorry. We're gonna have to end the request right here, but what I will do is that in the next video, I'll cover a few more other altcoins besides, of course, the regular XRP. And yes, do hit the likes because it helps the live stream more than you guys know. But yeah, if there are any questions that you guys have, get into the Discord chat and ask away at themangoway.com/Discord. There's a fun community right there. We're talking tea, we're talking everything in the community, so join in if you're not already in. But honestly, right now, markets, guys, just don't let your biases jump. Like, don't make trade decisions based on where your bias lies. Try and just be very objective. Try and approach it with as much objectivity as possible. And if you are struggling with that, then you can, like I said, get into the Discord chat and find people to talk to. Figure out if you're stuck in an echo chamber of sorts, right? Get someone in there to bias check you. Ask someone, can you please bias check me? Is there something on this chart that I am missing? That's the best way. That's the best way to figure out if, you have a holistic view of the market. Because a lot of times, Sean and I, we're on different sides of a coin. We're on different sides of a trade, right? But he's seeing something that I am not seeing. Now, XRP was a great example of that, where he saw the bi-weekly that I did not see. He's like, Krisha, you're looking at the wrong time frame. Disagreements, especially when it comes to TA, they're very good. They're very healthy. It basically points out chinks in your entire thesis. Right? So you get to make it stronger. You get to fill in the blanks for yourself. And you get to make better, more informed decisions that increases the probability of any trade that you take. So if you find that you're in this state of just being biased about the markets and your lens of whatever coin that you're trading, find a bias check. Whether it's an objective indicator or it's someone in the community, find a bias check. But yeah, thank you all for tuning in today. I hope you guys enjoyed this live stream. Let me know. 3 Diglets, where are you, man? Did you just join in? Okay, for 3 Diglets, man, look at what I'm doing, 3 Diglets. Okay, this is for you. You know, I was gonna do a dedicated daily video on AVAX, and I thought of you. I'm like, where is this guy? Okay, 3 Diglets. That liquidation event didn't spare anyone, eh? Didn't spare anyone. Nobody got spared. Like, you know, it's so sad because 3 Diglets here, he was so like into AVAX, and he asked us to pull up the AVAX chart on almost every live stream, and it began to actually look good until we got this freaking liquidation event. What the hell? Kind of nuked the chart, man. But okay, oh, damn it, it got difficult. No, man. Okay, this. Yeah. $17 getting into month end. Okay, right now we're over, so we're good. We're 1 week away from month end. $17 getting into month end, good. It's fine, sort of. The bullish tilt is going to be clearing out $24, man. We need this again. We need AVAX to clear out 24 again. We need this entire range reclaimed. If we can do that, then all well and good. But I say wait on that. I feel like it's going to be this entire zone right here, quite honestly. You can trade support and resistance. You know, you need to understand when it's a trend trade, when it's a range trade. This is a range trade right now. This is not a trend trade. Like you don't look for the moonshot right here. You'd look for the moonshot, or rather you'd look for the trend to begin as soon as we start clearing out $20, $25 to the upside. This right here, understand when a trade is support and resistance, understand when it's supposed to be a trend trade, if that's what you guys are looking for, right? Because that's going to help you set expectations. I feel like your biggest villain in any trade that you take is always going to be your expectations, right? So make sure you understand your expectations, set your expectations accordingly based on the trade that you're jumping into. Don't jump in right here thinking, oh yeah, I'm going to wait for the moonshot. This is going to go all the way up to 10x and I'm going to be friggin' rich. Don't do that. Okay. Because chops like this, see these guys here? These guys can come. They can kick you out of position. All right. So also understand time also can kill you inside. It can kill you from inside. Set your expectations, set your trades accordingly, understand when it's supposed to be a trend trade, understand when it's supposed to be a range trade. This right here, 3 Dicklets, range trade. Okay. Cool beans. Now, I hope you guys enjoy this live stream. I will now see all of you guys in the Discord chat with this trade safely, trade stress-free, trade the mango way, trade the easy way. Ciao, you guys. End.